Hi, it's Ann, and tonight I'm reading Elves and the Shoemaker. There was once an old shoemaker who fell on hard times. He was so short of money he couldn't even afford to buy leather to make more shoes. All he had were a few scraps, enough for a very tiny pair, he decided. So he picked up his scissors, went snip, snip, snip. Carefully, he began to cut out the pieces, and by the time he had finished, it was much too dark to stitch them together. "I'll do it in the morning," he said. But he never got the chance. He woke up the next day, and the leather was gone. In its place, a pair of shiny new shoes, perfectly stitched and polished to perfection. Impossible, he thought. "But look at this," said his wife. "Someone's finished my shoes last night, and whoever it was, they've done a beautiful job." They sold the shoes for a gold coin and used the money to buy more leather. "Enough for 2 pairs," the shoemaker told his wife happily, reaching for his scissors. Snip, snip, snip. And by the end of the day, he had cut out pieces for 2 tall pairs of boots. "I'll finish them tomorrow," he said. But in the morning, he awoke to find 2 beautiful pairs of new boots, already stitched with bright brass buckles, which he sold for 4 gold coins. And so it went on. Each day, the shoemaker bought more leather and cut out the pieces, and each night, someone else stitched them into the most beautiful boots and shoes. Now the shoemaker's shop was filled with customers, and the money started pouring in. But he had no idea who was helping him. So one night he and his wife hid behind a curtain to watch. They had almost dozed off when the door creaked open slowly, and in walked 2 raggedy little men tiptoeing over the threshold. The elves climbed quietly onto the table. Their tiny fingers flashed and flew until they had stitched and polished a whole row of shiny new shoes and boots. And then they left. "They work so hard to help us, and they've got nothing but rags to wear themselves. Let's make them some new clothes to thank them in return." The shoemaker nodded. That day, instead of cutting leather as usual, they made 2 tiny pairs of elf boots, and the wife sewed 2 tiny elf suits. And at bedtime, they laid their gifts on the table, hid in the corner, and waited. In the middle of the night, the door creaked again. There was a pitter-patter of tiny footsteps and a squeal of delight. "Look, new clothes!" The elves put them on at once, and when they caught sight of themselves in the mirror, they turned cartwheels for sheer joy. They skipped all around the room, singing. They danced right out the door, still singing their song. And the old shoemaker and his wife looked at each other and smiled. They didn't mind losing their happy magic helpers. They had plenty of money now, and customers, and lots of ideas for new shoes. They were back in business, thanks to the elves. The end. Good night.